Mr. Speaker.
Te mai o te whare. Tēnā koe, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, what I've noticed is this government has a pattern of partially funding natural increases through immigration and population growth and calling it more funding. And that creates a problem, sir, when we come to this particular portfolio. I want to mention three things. Firstly is around the law centres. And second thing I want to talk about is really the police estimates and then corrections. I'll try and keep them very brief, Mr. Chairman. The first thing around law centre is that $10.9 million, I'm told in the report that I have in front of me that is the same as last year. Okay. Now that causes a problem, sir, because it doesn't take into, in fact, consideration the natural increases that is required for the workers in law centres. Lawyers, like everybody else, have to eat. Lawyers, like everybody else in community law centres, are working under contracts, and they are entitled to wage increases. By having this funding remain the same, sir, I suspect a significant proportion then goes to meeting those natural increases and doesn't actually provide support for the services that our communities sorely need. And law centres are having to meet the unmet needs of many of our communities right across this country of ours. Second thing, when it comes to the police, is I understand there's 46 million a year. The other thing that this government does, when it announces budget, it announces it in 4-year periods. It makes it big, but when you break it down, it's 46 million a year. The problem with this, sir, is that in real terms, the police budget has been cut by 11% since 2020. For police investigation, there's been cut by 15%. For road safety, it's been cut by 8%. So the 46 million a year we get, 94% of that actually is required for wage increases that the overworked staff require. That means the result of that is when people need the police, they call up 111. You know, if there's a burglar in the house and somebody calls up 111, the first thing that the person on the other side of the phone asks is the burglar still in the house, because they will not come. And I have received word from other cases where the burglar is in the house running away, but the police said, well, send somebody, but they could not. Because what is happening is we've had these consistent cuts since 2010 for this particular budget, but 90% of all burglaries remain unresolved. 70% of sexual assaults remain unsolved. Burglaries have increased by 11%, assaults have increased by 6%. Sir, we are not going to be able to stop crime, keep our communities safe, if this pattern continues of underfunding. You might be able to underfund maintenance for buildings, sir, but when it comes to services that our communities need, whether it be education, health, our police force, we need to fund them appropriately, sir, in order to stop crime, save lives, and ensure justice for victims. The other night, in meeting with members of the Mangere Bridge community, this was a major concern because they have now lost the kiosk, the office where volunteers used to provide a service to our community. Now, the Minister may not feel that that's important, sir, but we needed that police office there. They may call it a kiosk, and over 100 have been closed right up the length and breadth of this country, but we needed that to give some sense of confidence. The fact that we've got reduced funding also means that we know many of our communities no longer have the close relationship that we once had with our community constable, who knew what was happening in our community, who cared for what happened to the young people around the shopping centre, etc. The final point, sir, and I hope you can give me your finger when we're close to it, is the corrections.
I'll give the member a bell in 22 seconds.
22 corrections. Sir, we have here's the issue I have with corrections. They have placed a serious, violent and child sexual offender the guy who is top of the pyramid in our community, and it's not safe.
Kelvin Davis.
Tēnā koe e te hea mana ngā mihi kau ati kia koe.